The trunk slammed shut, plunging my world into darkness. Outside, my family's laughter faded as the scorching Mojave Desert heat filled my lungs with the smell of burning vinyl. I was 16, and I had become Cargonaut even worth a seat in the family car. My name is Jacinta, and this is how my family tried to break me, and how I made them pay instead. It started like most nightmares, seemingly normal at first. My parents, Richard and Karen, announced a family vacation to Arizona to celebrate my sister Ashley's acceptance into every Ivy League school. Foolishly, I hoped this trip might be different, that they'd finally see me as more than a disappointment. I should have known better. That morning in Sacramento, I had my small duffel-ready clothes that were either Ashley's hand-me-downs or Target clearance finds. I watched Mom carefully pack Ashley's 3 designer suitcases, each worth more than everything I owned. "Jacinta, put your bag in the trunk," Dad said flatly, not looking at me. As I approached the SUV, Ashley appeared, hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, wearing a designer travel outfit that cost more than my entire wardrobe. "Actually," Ashley said sweetly, "I need the entire back seat. I have to stretch out on long drives." I stared at my parents, waiting for them to intervene. Mom just sighed as if I were the difficult one. "Jacinta, just get in the trunk. It's big enough. You'll be fine." "You can't be serious," I whispered. "You want me to ride in the trunk for how many hours?" "About 7 hours to Scottsdale," Dad checked his watch. "We're already late because of your dramatics. Get in or stay home." But staying home meant being alone with no food, no money, no way to survive. Every dollar went to Ashley's college fund, or necessary expenses. I'd been wearing the same 2 pairs of jeans for 3 years, washing them by hand because using the machine for my clothes alone was wasteful. So I climbed into the trunk. The space was larger than a coffin but smaller than a closet. I curled into a fetal position as Dad threw my bag in, hitting my ribs hard enough to make me gasp. The door slammed, and the world disappeared. The first hour was the worst. Not just the physical discomfort, but hearing every word, every laugh, every casual cruelty. "God, this is going to be amazing," Ashley gushed, stretching across the back seat. "I can't wait to post pictures. Madison is going to die of jealousy." "You deserve it, sweetheart," Mom said warmly. "You've worked so hard." "What about the other one?" Ashley asked with a smirk. "Is she staying in there the whole time?" "Where else would she go?" Dad replied. "We booked a suite with 1 king bed and a sofa bed. No room for extra accommodations." "Should we maybe crack the trunk open when we stop?" Ashley said. For a moment I thought she cared. "Let some air in so the smell doesn't get too bad." They all laughed. I pressed my fist against my mouth to keep from screaming. The heat was already building, turning the trunk into an oven. My shirt soaked through with sweat. Every bump in the road sent me sliding, my head knocking against the seats. After 90 minutes, the car slowed. We were stopping. Doors opened. "Oh my God, it's so hot," Ashley said. "It's the desert, honey," Mom replied. "Let's get something cold." I heard footsteps walking away, the convenience store door chiming, then silence. They left me in the trunk, in a gas station parking lot in Barstow, in the middle of the Mojave Desert, in late July. The temperature climbed rapidly. Within minutes, I was gasping, my lungs burning with superheated air. Panic set in. I pushed against the trunk door, searched for an emergency release. Either it didn't have one, or Dad had disabled it. When they finally came back 10 minutes, 20? It felt like hours. The trunk opened, and blinding sunlight hit me. Dad's annoyed face appeared above. "Get out. Clean the windows. They're filthy." I could barely move. My legs had cramped, muscles locked. I half fell onto the scalding asphalt. "I need water," I croaked. Mom appeared with a half-empty bottle of warm water. She tossed it at me. "Don't be demanding. Every dollar we spend on you is taken from Ashley's college fund." I drained half before she snatched it back. "That's enough. Now clean the windshield. We don't have all day." While I cleaned in the brutal sun, my family sat inside the air-conditioned store eating ice cream. Ashley took selfies. Mom browsed magazines. Dad refilled his fountain drink. None of them looked at me. When I finished, I stood by the car, waiting. "Can I please sit in the car, just for a little while? I feel like I'm passing out." "We've been over this," Mom said. "Ashley needs the space. You're being selfish." Ashley bounced out, clutching an $8 blended coffee. "Aw, do you want some?" She held it just out of reach. "Oh wait, that's way too expensive for you." She climbed in, spreading out, taking an exaggerated sip while staring at me through the window. Dad pointed to the trunk. "In. Now." The second leg was worse. More intense heat, and now I was dehydrated, sunburned, exhausted. Every breath was labor. I drifted in and out of consciousness, hallucinating that the trunk was filling with water, that I was drowning, that someone was letting me out. But every time I came back to reality, I was still there. Still trapped, still suffering. We stopped around Kingman. I had no hope they'd let me out. I just lay there, conserving energy. I heard them discussing lunch at a diner. Doors slammed. Footsteps walked away. I must have passed out because the next thing I remember is the trunk opening and something landing on my chest. A paper bag with half a stale sandwich, probably a leftover from yesterday. Eat fast, Dad said. We're leaving in 5 minutes. Through the open trunk, I could see the diner. My family sat at a window booth with a clear view of the parking lot. Ashley ate a massive burger, watching me the entire time. Every few bites, she smiled. Then she pulled out her phone and took a picture of me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But where would I go? I had nothing. Dad came back with a milkshake and not for me. He got in the driver's seat, sipping it while starting the car. The trunk slammed shut, and we were moving again. The third leg was a blur of pain. I'd stopped trying to get comfortable. Blisters formed on my shoulders. My head pounded from dehydration and heat. Ashley talked about her Instagram strategy for the trip, about gaining followers and building her brand as an influencer. They discussed her success, her future, her accomplishments. They talked about me exactly 0 times. I was less than 10 feet away, suffering unimaginably, and I was completely invisible. When we finally arrived at the Scottsdale resort, I was barely conscious. The car stopped. Excited chatter about the 5-star property, the luxury accommodations, the world-class amenities. But they didn't open the trunk. I heard valets offering to help. Dad's voice, smooth and charming. We've got it, thanks. Just some personal items we need to handle ourselves. After all the nice bags were unloaded, the trunk finally opened. It was dark now. Stars filled the sky, bright and beautiful. Then Dad's face blocked my view. Stay down, he hissed. Don't make a sound. Wait until we text you. The trunk closed again. I lay in the parking garage while they checked into their luxury suite. I could hear other families arriving, happy voices echoing, children laughing. None of them knew I was there. When Mom's text finally came, room 504. Wait 30 minutes, then come up. Use the service stairs. Don't let anyone see you, I read it 3 times. They wanted me to sneak into their room like a criminal. I waited the full 30 minutes, then carefully opened the trunk. My legs nearly gave out after 7 hours cramped in that space. I found the service stairs and climbed, each step agony. The 5th floor hallway was plush, decorated with expensive art, soft music playing from hidden speakers. A place of luxury and comfort. None of which was for me. I found room 504 and knocked softly. Ashley opened the door, and I saw their enormous suite. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking illuminated pools and palm trees. A seating area with plush furniture, a dining table, a kitchenette, a king bed piled with pillows. A sofa bed already made up for Ashley. Finally, Ashley said, rolling her eyes. You took forever. Okay, here's how this works. Mom said briskly. Obviously we only booked for 3. There's 1 king bed for us and a sofa bed for Ashley. There's nowhere for you to sleep. I stared, waiting for the punchline. You'll sleep in the car. The trunk is spacious enough. It's clean, out of sight, and doesn't cost us extra money. You can't be serious, I whispered. We're completely serious, Dad said. This vacation is expensive enough. Ashley sprawled on her bed, scrolling her phone. Honestly, you should be grateful you even got to come. Most people would have just left you at home. I looked around at all the space, all the luxury. There was a chair I could have slept on. Floor space. The bathroom was bigger than my bedroom at home. But they didn't see me as deserving even the smallest comfort. I need to use the bathroom, I said quietly. Mom sighed, annoyed. Fine, be quick, and don't use all the hot water. Ashley wants a bath later. The bathroom was huge. Marble countertops, rainfall shower, soaking tub, plush heated towels. I locked the door and finally let myself break down. I sank to the floor and cried as quietly as possible. This was my family. These were the people who were supposed to love me, and they were treating me worse than an animal. When I came out, Mom handed me a bottle of water and a granola bar. Here, this is your dinner. Make it last. Where's my bag? Still in the car. You can get it tomorrow. Right now, you need to go back and sleep. We have a big day planned and need our rest. What about me? What am I supposed to do tomorrow? You'll stay in the car. We can't have you following us around. What would people think? I left in a daze and returned to the parking garage. I opened the trunk and climbed back inside. This time I had my phone, the water, and the granola bar. I ate half the bar, drank a few sips, rationing carefully. Then I curled up and tried to sleep, but sleep was impossible. The trunk was still hot. Every part of my body hurt. And more than the physical pain was the emotional devastation of realizing how little my family cared. I spent that night drifting in and out of consciousness, replaying every moment of my childhood, every sign I'd missed. Mom introducing Ashley as my daughter, but referring to me as, this is Jacintha. Dad's face lighting up for Ashley, but going blank for me. Every holiday centered around Ashley while I faded into the background. I'd always thought if I just tried harder, they would eventually love me. But I was realizing the horrible truth. It wasn't about what I did. It was about who I was. And in their eyes, I would never be enough. The next morning, car doors opened. They were heading to breakfast a lavish buffet at the resort restaurant. The trunk opened. Dad tossed in a wrapped muffin from the lobby. "Here's breakfast. We'll be gone a few hours. Stay put." The trunk slammed shut before I could respond. I ate the small, dry blueberry muffin slowly, then rationed more water and waited. The heat started building early. I found an old screwdriver in the emergency kit and carefully pried open the trunk edge, just enough for a small stream of fresh air. It wasn't much, but it kept me from suffocating. Hours crawled by. I heard other guests coming and going. Families loading cars for excursions, couples heading out for drives. Normal people doing normal vacation things. And I was locked in a trunk, hidden like a dirty secret. My family didn't return until almost 3 p.m. When the trunk opened, Ashley's face appeared. She wore a designer swimsuit, her skin glowing with expensive sunscreen, hair perfect. "Oh my God, it smells in here. How do you stand it?" "Dad says you need to come up. We need you to do something." I climbed out, legs barely supporting me. Ashley walked to the elevators, not the service stairs this time. I followed hesitantly. In the room, I discovered why they needed me. The suite was a disaster. Towels everywhere, room service trays stacked, shopping bags scattered. Mom sat on the couch, examining her nails. "Clean this up. We're going to the spa in an hour, and I don't want to come back to this disaster." I stared at the mess, then at them. "You brought me up here to be your maid?" "Don't be dramatic," Dad said, changing into golf clothes. "Just tidy up. It won't take long." "And when you're done," Ashley added, pulling out her phone, "you can go back to your spot. Oh, and I need you to do something else." She showed me her Instagram, a picture from the pool, looking perfect. The caption, "Living my best life. So grateful for this amazing family vacation." Hundreds of likes already. Dozens of comments gushing about how beautiful, how lucky, how perfect she was. "I need you to comment on this. Something nice. Make it seem like we're this perfect, happy family." I looked at the phone, at her smiling face, at the lies she was selling. "No." "What did you just say?" Mom's voice was dangerous. I said, "No, I'm not going to lie for you." Dad stepped closer, and I saw pure contempt in his eyes. "You'll do what you're told, or you can find your own way home from Arizona. Your choice." I took the phone and typed, "Looks amazing. Having so much fun." Then handed it back. "There. Happy?" "Ecstatic," Ashley smirked. "I spent 45 minutes cleaning their mess, folding designer clothes, organizing shopping bags, scrubbing the bathroom Ashley had somehow destroyed." The whole time, they got ready for the spa, chatting about treatments, relaxation, how much they deserved this pampering. When I finished, Mom inspected my work, found a water spot on the bathroom mirror, and sighed dramatically. "You missed a spot. Honestly, can't you do anything right?" I wiped the mirror clean while she watched. Then she dismissed me with a wave, and I returned to the trunk. This became the pattern. I spent daylight hours locked in the trunk, slowly baking, slowly dehydrating, slowly losing my grip on reality. They'd come and go, sometimes bringing a small snack or water, sometimes forgetting entirely. When they remembered, it was to criticize, mock, remind me of my place. Ashley took particular pleasure in tormenting me. She'd come down alone, show me videos on her phone of resort amenities I'd never see. The infinity pool, world-class restaurants, spa treatments. "The massage I got today was incredible," she said one afternoon dreamily. "Hot stones, aromatherapy, magic hands, cost like $300 but so worth it. You should try it sometime." "Oh wait, you can't. You're broke." She took selfies with the car in the background, careful to angle away from the trunk. She posted them with captions about loving her family, being blessed, how perfect this vacation was. Every post got hundreds of likes. Her follower count grew. She was building her brand, her image, her future, all while I suffered just feet away. On the third night, everything changed. It was late, maybe 11 p.m. I'd been in the trunk since early morning, over 14 hours with only 2 brief breaks. My body was shutting down. Dehydration was severe. My thoughts scattered. I was having trouble focusing. Footsteps approached. The trunk opened. Ashley was panicking. I lost my sunglasses. My Gucci sunglasses. They cost $600. I think I dropped them in the parking garage. You need to find them. Now. Ashley, I can barely move. I need water. I need rest. I don't care what you need. Find my sunglasses. She grabbed my arm and hauled me out. I collapsed onto the concrete, legs giving out completely. Everything spun. Get up. Ashley was shrieking. Do you know how much those cost? Dad is going to kill me. I tried to stand, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Ashley's face twisted with rage, and she kicked me, her sandal connecting with my ribs. Useless. You're completely useless. More footsteps. Then Dad was there. I looked up, hoping for help, hoping this would trigger some parental instinct, some basic human compassion. Instead, he looked disgusted. "What the hell is wrong with you? Ashley asked you to do one simple thing." "I can't," I whispered. "Please, I need help." "You need to stop being so dramatic." He grabbed my arm and hauled me to my feet. "Find the sunglasses. Check under all the cars in this section. We'll wait." I stumbled through the parking garage, dropping to my hands and knees to look under vehicles, vision blurring with tears and exhaustion. Other guests passed, gave me strange looks, but no one stopped. I probably looked drunk or high. I searched for 20 minutes before admitting defeat. The sunglasses were gone. When I returned, Dad's face was dark with anger. "You couldn't find them." "I'm sorry. I looked everywhere. They're not here." And then he hit me. His open palm connected with my cheek so hard I heard ringing. I fell backward, landing hard on concrete. The impact knocked the breath from my lungs. "Worthless," he shouted, standing over me. "You can't do one goddamn thing right." He grabbed my hair and dragged me back to the SUV. I was too weak to fight, too broken to resist. He shoved me into the trunk with such force my head hit the back panel, stars exploding across my vision. "Stay there until we tell you otherwise," he snarled, and slammed the trunk shut. I lay there in darkness, tasting blood, feeling the swelling on my cheek. And something inside me shifted. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. For the first time in my 16 years, I felt something other than hurt and confusion. I felt rage, pure, crystalline, clarifying rage. It burned through the fog of exhaustion and pain. It sharpened my thoughts. It gave me strength I didn't know I had. I pulled out my phone, battery at 4%, but that was enough. I turned off unnecessary apps to conserve power. And then I started thinking. For years, I'd been the perfect victim, compliant, quiet, accepting. I'd believed that if I just endured, things would get better. That my family would eventually see my worth. But they never would, and I was done waiting. I started observing them like specimens under a microscope, cataloging their habits, routines, weaknesses. Dad always kept a spare car key in a magnetic case under the rear wheel well. He thought no one knew, but I'd seen him retrieve it once. He also kept his wallet in the front console, never in his pocket at the resort. Mom was careless with receipts and credit card statements. She'd pull them out, glance at them, leave them scattered on tables, in trash cans. Ashley was the most reckless. When she drank every night, despite being underage, she became sloppy. She'd leave her phone lying around, forget to log out of accounts, pass out with her purse wide open, all her valuables visible. They'd made a critical mistake. They thought I was broken. They thought I was defeated. They assumed I would never fight back. They were wrong. The fourth day dawned, and I was still in the trunk. My family had apparently decided it was easier to just leave me there permanently. Mom had come down the night before with supplies, a gallon jug of water, several protein bars, paper towels, and a bucket. "For bathroom emergencies," she'd said without looking at me, "we don't need you coming up constantly." The humiliation was designed to break me further, but it had the opposite effect. Every degradation, every cruelty, every casual dismissal of my humanity added fuel to the fire burning inside me. I spent that day in the trunk, but I wasn't suffering anymore. I was planning. I used my phone sparingly, conserving battery, watching everything Ashley posted. I noted the times, the locations. I could track their movements through her social media. Breakfast at 8, pool from 10 to noon, lunch at the poolside bar, afternoon at the spa, dinner at the upscale steakhouse, late-night drinks at the lounge. They were creatures of habit, and habits could be exploited. I also thought about their relationship with resort staff. Dad was the type who tipped poorly and complained constantly, the kind of guest hospitality workers despise. Mom was demanding and condescending. Ashley treated everyone like servants. They were making enemies everywhere, even if they didn't realize it. On the evening of the fourth day, they came to get me. There was a big gala that night, formal attire, all guests invited. When they opened the trunk, I was ready. I'd cleaned myself up with paper towels and water, eaten the last protein bar for energy. Mentally prepared. "We need you to stay in the room tonight while we're at the gala," Mom said. "We can't have you down here where someone might find you and ask questions." This was new. This was an opportunity. I climbed out slowly, moving to seem weaker than I felt. I kept my eyes down, playing the role they expected. The broken, defeated daughter. They walked me up through the service stairs. When we entered, I saw they'd all transformed themselves. Mom wore an elegant evening gown that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage. Dad looked distinguished in his tailored suit. Ashley was stunning in a designer cocktail dress, hair and makeup professionally done. They looked like the perfect family, wealthy, successful, happy. It was all a lie, and I was about to expose it. "The minibar is locked," Mom said. "Don't even try. There's tap water in the bathroom. That's all you get. We'll be back around midnight. Stay in the room, Dad added. Don't answer the door. Don't use the phone. Don't touch anything. If we find out you've been snooping, there will be consequences. Ashley was already taking selfies, documenting her outfit for Instagram. She barely acknowledged my existence. They left in a cloud of expensive perfume and cologne. And I was alone in their suite for the first time. I waited 5 minutes, listening. Then I went to work. First, I retrieved Dad's wallet. Inside were credit cards, his driver's license, and about $300 cash. I took pictures of every card, front and back, including security codes. Then I took half the cash, exactly $150, carefully arranging the remaining bills so the wallet still looked full. Next, I found Ashley's phone charging on the nightstand. Her backup phone for her private Instagram. It wasn't locked. Ashley was that confident. I opened her main Instagram app. She was still logged in. Perfect. Then I found the room key cards. 3 of them. I slipped one into my pocket. Now the risky part. I went through drawers, closets, anywhere they might have left something useful. In Mom's suitcase, I found credit card statements. The balances were staggering. They were deeply in debt. All this luxury, all this extravagance, was purchased on credit they couldn't afford. They were living a lie. In Dad's toiletry bag, I found prescription bottles, anxiety medication, sleeping pills, more than I'd have expected for a week-long vacation. Dad, who always seemed so controlled, was barely holding himself together. They were all frauds. I took pictures of everything. The statements, the prescriptions, the receipts showing exactly how much they were spending. The shopping bags with tags still attached, showing designer purchases they couldn't afford. Then I returned everything to exactly where I'd found it and sat down to wait. Around 11, I heard voices in the hallway. They were coming back early, and they were drunk, very drunk. I quickly hid in the bathroom, leaving the door cracked just enough to see and hear. They stumbled in, laughing loudly. Ashley was leaning on Dad, barely able to walk. Mom was singing off-key. "Best night ever," Ashley slurred. "Did you see Madison's face when I told her about my MIT acceptance?" "She was green with envy," Mom agreed. "You're going to show them all, sweetheart." Dad helped Ashley to her sofa bed. She collapsed without taking off her dress, her purse falling to the floor, contents spilling out. Phone, wallet, lipstick rolling across the carpet. None of them bothered to pick anything up. "I'm exhausted," Dad said. "Best sleep I've had in months, knowing we don't have to deal with that one." "Don't even mention her," Mom said. "She ruins everything. This trip has been perfect because we could just forget she exists." "Should someone check on her?" Ashley mumbled. "In the morning," Dad replied. "She's fine. She's always fine. That's her one useful quality. She's resilient." They had no idea how resilient I actually was. Within 20 minutes, all 3 were passed out. I waited another 20 to be sure. Then I emerged and got to work. First, I retrieved the spare car key from Dad's suit pocket, right where I knew it would be. Then I picked up Ashley's purse and took everything I needed. Her wallet with ID and credit cards. Her main phone. Her lipstick, because I knew she'd lose her mind over that particularly. I found Dad's phone on the nightstand, still unlocked because he'd been too drunk to lock it. I took it. Then I took the room key card from my pocket and left the suite. The resort was quiet at this hour. I made my way to the parking garage and found our SUV. Using the spare key, I opened the trunk and retrieved my duffel bag. I changed into clean clothes, washed my face and arms with bottled water, made myself as presentable as possible. Then I sat in the trunk one last time, surrounded by evidence of my imprisonment, and pulled out Ashley's phone. I opened Instagram and went to her main account. Tens of thousands of followers. Picture-perfect posts. A carefully curated image of privilege and success. I tapped the live video button. My finger hovered for just a moment. Once I did this, there was no going back. My family would never forgive me. The consequences would be severe. But they'd already done unforgivable things to me. They'd already crossed lines that could never be uncrossed. I pressed the button. The video started. Within seconds, viewers tuned in. 10, 20, 50. Ashley's followers were used to her posting at all hours. I didn't say anything at first. I just turned the camera on my face. Let them see the bruise on my cheek, dark purple and swollen. Let them see the blisters on my shoulders. Let them see my cracked lips, my hollow eyes, my gaunt face. The view count climbed. 100, 200. Comments flooded in. "Oh my God, is that Ashley? Who is this? Are you okay? What happened to you?" I took a slow breath, then spoke. My voice was rough, damaged. "My name is Jacinta. I'm Ashley's sister, and this is where I've spent the last 4 days." I turned the camera around, showing the trunk. The makeshift ventilation, the bucket, the empty water bottles, the protein bar wrappers. The comment section exploded. I turned the camera back. "We're at a 5-star resort in Scottsdale. My family is sleeping upstairs in their luxury suite. I'm not allowed up there. This is where I sleep, where I eat, where I've been for 96 hours. The viewer count passed 500. People were sharing the live stream. I could see notifications that it was being screen recorded, reposted. My parents paid thousands for this vacation for my sister's college celebration, but they didn't want to pay for a second room. They didn't even want to let me sleep on the floor of their suite. So this is where I've been, in the trunk, in 100-degree heat, without food, without water, while they enjoyed massages and gourmet meals and spa treatments. I held up the bottle of warm water. I took a sip, and the camera caught me wincing. This is a family vacation. This is what family means to them. The viewer count hit 1,000. Then 1,500. The live stream was going viral in real time. People were tagging news stations, Child Protective Services, the resort. I read some comments aloud. Is this real? Yes, it's real. Where are your parents? Asleep upstairs, drunk and happy. Have you called the police? Not yet, but I will. I let the stream run for 10 more minutes, answering questions, showing more details. The screwdriver I'd used to pry the trunk open for air, the marks on my wrists, everything. Then I ended the stream and immediately saved the video. Ashley's phone was blowing up with notifications. Thousands of new comments, messages from followers, strangers, news outlets. But Ashley wouldn't see any of it until morning. I put her phone in my pocket and moved to phase 2. Using Dad's credit card information, I accessed the resort's guest services through their app. I started ordering services. First, a bottle of Dom Perignon, $300. Then, another, and another. 6 bottles total, with a note, celebrating our daughter's bright future. I ordered extensive room service breakfast for 10 people, scheduled for 7 a.m. Lobster, caviar, imported cheeses, the most expensive items, $2,000. I ordered a deep cleaning service, claiming a significant spill that required immediate attention, $500. I booked massage services for Mom, facial treatments for Ashley, all the most expensive options, scheduled for times they'd already booked other activities. They'd be charged cancellation fees when they didn't show. I went through their account systematically, booking and ordering until I'd added over $10,000 in charges. But I wasn't done. I took Dad's phone and opened his email. He used the same password for everything, so predictable. I found his work email and started reading. Dad worked in finance, always bragging about his management position. His emails painted a different picture. He was on thin ice. There had been complaints about his management style. His last performance review was mediocre at best. I found draft emails he'd written but never sent angry rants about coworkers and bosses. I forwarded all of them to his entire contact list. Then I opened Mom's email using her phone. Her password was literally password 123. Mom was part of several social groups, charity organizations, book clubs, all filled with wealthy women who measured their worth by social standing. I found group chats where Mom had been gossiping viciously, saying terrible things about people she smiled to in person. I took screenshots of everything and emailed them to the entire group, from her own email address. Then I composed a message to their church community, their neighbors, Dad's boss, Mom's book club, everyone in their contact lists. The message was simple. I attached a link to Ashley's Instagram livestream, which had been recorded and reposted by dozens of people. And I wrote, "This is who we really are. This is what we did to our daughter. We are not the people you think we are." I hit send on both accounts. Finally, I picked up the phone and called 911. I need to report child abuse. I gave them everything. The resort name, room number, every detail. The operator's voice was gentle but professional. "Officers are on their way. Can you get somewhere safe?" "I'm safe now. For the first time in days, I'm safe." I also called the resort's security desk, reporting a disturbance in room 504, claiming I'd heard yelling and sounds of violence. Someone should check on them. I think someone might be hurt. Then I hung up and walked away. I left Ashley's phone on the SUV hood where she'd eventually find it. I left Dad's phone on a different car 3 rows over. I kept only the cash, the pictures on my own phone, and Dad's ID for a bus ticket. I walked out of the parking garage into the warm Arizona night. Behind me, I heard sirens approaching. I didn't look back. I walked 3 blocks to the nearest bus stop and sat down to wait. The first bus wouldn't come until 6 a.m., but I had nowhere else to be. As I sat there, my phone buzzed. Nearly dead, but just enough power to see notifications flooding in. The Instagram video had been viewed over 50,000 times. It was on Twitter, TikTok, news websites picking it up. Arizona family under investigation after daughter livestreams abuse from car trunk. Viral video shows teen locked in trunk at luxury resort. Parents face charges after daughter's shocking social media post. My family's names weren't in the articles yet, but they would be soon. Their faces weren't shown, but that would change. People were already identifying them through Ashley's Instagram, through Dad's LinkedIn, through Mom's Facebook. They were being exposed in real time, their carefully constructed perfect life crumbling into dust. I thought about them waking up in a few hours. police at their door, resort management demanding explanations. Their phones exploding with messages from everyone they knew, everyone they'd tried to impress. I thought about Ashley finding her phone, seeing what I'd done to her Instagram account, her precious, carefully curated image destroyed in a single video. I thought about Dad discovering his work emails had been sent, his professional reputation in tatters. I thought about Mom facing social exile when her friends saw the screenshots of her gossip, her cruelty, her two-faced nature. They'd tried to erase me, to hide me away, to pretend I didn't exist, but I'd made sure everyone would know exactly who they were, what they'd done, how they'd treated their own daughter. The sun started to rise, painting the sky pink and orange. The air was still cool, that brief, perfect moment before the desert heat took over. I could hear birds singing. The morning shift at the resort would be starting soon, guests waking, staff preparing breakfast, normal people living normal lives. I wasn't normal, and my life had never been normal. But sitting there on that bus bench, waiting for transportation that would take me anywhere but here, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt free. The bus arrived at 6:15. I paid with some of the cash and found a seat near the back. As we pulled away, I looked out the window at the resort in the distance. The sun hit the windows, making them glow gold. It looked beautiful. Perfect. But I knew the truth. Behind those perfect windows were imperfect people with dark secrets and darker intentions, and at least 3 of them were about to face consequences for the first time in their lives. The bus drove on, leaving Scottsdale behind. I didn't know where I was going. The Greyhound station, eventually. And from there, maybe California, maybe Nevada, maybe anywhere that wasn't home. I had my phone, though nearly dead. I had $150 in cash. I had the clothes on my back and my duffel bag. I had the knowledge that I'd survived something most people couldn't imagine, and I had the satisfaction of knowing that I hadn't just survived. I had fought back. The news notifications kept coming, my phone buzzing weakly until the battery finally died. But I'd seen enough to know my plan had worked better than I could have hoped. The story was everywhere. People were outraged, calling for investigations, arrests, justice, and my family, who'd spent so much time and money and energy building their perfect image, had lost everything in a single night. They'd locked me in darkness, trying to break me, trying to erase me. But in that darkness, I'd learned something important. Fire doesn't just destroy. Sometimes it purifies. Sometimes it reveals truth. And sometimes, if you're careful and patient and willing to wait for the right moment, you can turn someone else's fire into a weapon. They were burning now, consumed by flames of their own making, their lies, their cruelty, their abuse, all exposed to harsh public scrutiny. And me? I was heading toward the sunrise. I didn't know what came next. I didn't know how I would survive, where I would go, what I would do. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would never be in that trunk again. I would never let anyone treat me that way again. I would never be invisible again. The bus rolled through the desert as the sun climbed higher. Other passengers got on and off at various stops. An elderly woman with grocery bags, a construction worker heading to a job site, a young mother with a baby. Normal people living normal lives, having no idea that the girl in the back had just burned her entire family's life to the ground. I leaned my head against the window and closed my eyes. For the first time in 4 days, I wasn't in pain. I wasn't scared. I wasn't suffering. I was just a girl on a bus, heading somewhere new, starting over from nothing. But this time, nothing felt like everything. Because I'd chosen it. Because I'd fought for it. Because I'd refused to be a victim 1 second longer than necessary. They'd tried to bury me in that trunk, to suffocate me with their neglect and abuse and hatred. But they forgot that some things grow stronger in the darkness. Some things learn to thrive without light. Some things become dangerous when you try to destroy them. I opened my eyes and looked out at the desert rushing past. The landscape was harsh and unforgiving, but it was also beautiful. Resilient. Alive despite impossible conditions. I understood that now. And as the bus carried me toward whatever came next, toward an uncertain future I would have to build from scratch, I smiled. Because I'd survived. Because I'd won. Because I was free. And somewhere behind me, in a luxury suite at a 5-star resort, 3 people were waking up to discover that their perfect world had ended while they slept. They would blame me, I knew. They would call me vindictive, cruel, ungrateful. They would tell everyone who would listen that I was the problem, that I'd always been the problem, that they were the real victims here. But the evidence didn't lie. The video didn't lie. The trunk didn't lie. And the truth, once released into the world, is impossible to contain. I'd given them every opportunity to be better, to do better, to see me as a human being worthy of basic decency. And they'd chosen cruelty every single time. So I'd chosen survival. I'd chosen truth. I'd chosen myself. And if that made me the villain in their story, so be it. I would rather be a villain who was free than a victim who was trapped. The bus continued through the desert, through small towns and empty stretches of highway, carrying me further from everything I'd ever known. I had no plan beyond getting to the Greyhound station and buying a ticket somewhere far away. I had no money beyond what was in my pocket. I had no support system, no safety net, no guarantees. But I had something more valuable than any of that. I had proof that I could survive anything, that I was stronger than they ever gave me credit for, that I deserved better than what they'd given me. And I had the knowledge that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to stay silent, refuse to accept abuse as normal, refuse to protect the people who hurt you. My phone was dead, but I knew what was happening even without checking. The video was spreading, people sharing it, commenting, expressing horror and outrage. Journalists were probably trying to find me, to interview me, to get my side of the story. I didn't need to tell my side. The video had done that for me. Eventually, I would have to figure out my next steps. Child Protective Services would probably be looking for me. Police would want my statement. There would be investigations, maybe court cases, maybe foster care. But none of that mattered right now. Right now, all that mattered was that I was out. I was free. I was away from them. The bus pulled into a larger town, and I got off to transfer to a Greyhound. The station was small but clean, with a few dozen people waiting for various buses. I used some of my cash to buy a ticket to San Francisco. It was the furthest destination I could afford, and it seemed like the kind of place where a 16-year-old girl with nothing could disappear and start over. I had 3 hours before my bus left, so I found a corner seat and tried to make myself comfortable. I was exhausted, my body finally catching up with everything it had been through. But I didn't dare sleep, not yet, not until I was much further away. A woman at the counter noticed me and brought over a bottle of water and a sandwich. "You look like you could use this, no charge." I almost cried at this simple act of kindness from a stranger. I thanked her and ate slowly, savoring every bite of food that I had chosen to eat, in a place I had chosen to be, on my own terms. This was what freedom tasted like. When my bus finally arrived, I climbed aboard and found a window seat near the back. As we pulled out of the station and onto the highway heading west, I took one last look at Arizona disappearing behind me. Good riddance. I turned forward, toward California, toward the future, toward whatever came next. I didn't have much. I didn't have security or stability or family support. But I had my life, my freedom, and my truth, and that was enough. That was more than enough, because they'd tried to lock me in darkness to destroy me. But they didn't realize that in that darkness, I'd learned to see clearly for the first time. I'd learned what I was capable of. I'd learned my own worth. And I'd learned that their power over me was only as strong as I allowed it to be. I had stopped allowing it. And now they were the ones trapped, locked in a cage of their own making, facing consequences they never thought would come. While I rode toward the sunrise, toward a new beginning, toward a life I would build with my own hands, they'd wanted me to disappear, and in a way, I had, but not the way they intended. I had disappeared from their control, from their abuse, from their toxicity, and I had emerged as someone they could never hurt again. The bus drove on through the morning, through the desert and into greener landscapes, carrying me toward whatever came next. I was scared. I was uncertain. I was alone. But I was alive. I was free. I was myself, and that was the greatest revenge of all. I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I'd find a place to stay, people who cared, a way to finish school. I didn't know if the legal system would help me or hurt me, if foster care would be better or worse, if I'd made the right choice. But I knew one thing. I had taken control of my own story. For 16 years, they'd written my narrative. The disappointment, the burden, the invisible daughter who didn't matter. But last night, I'd taken the pen from their hands and written my own ending. And it wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning. The bus rolled past farms and fields, mountains in the distance, the landscape changing as we moved west. Other passengers dozed or read or stared out windows. Normal people with normal problems, heading to normal destinations. I was heading into the unknown with nothing but hope and determination. And somehow, that felt like more than I'd ever had before. Because hope was mine. Determination was mine. The choice was mine. They couldn't take that away. No one could. I settled deeper into my seat and watched California grow closer with every mile. Somewhere out there was a new life waiting to be built. It wouldn't be easy. It might not even be good at first, but it would be mine. And after spending 16 years living in someone else's version of what my life should be, after 4 days locked in a trunk being treated as less than human, after a lifetime of being told I didn't matter, being free to struggle on my own terms felt like the greatest gift I could give myself. The bus drove on, the sun climbed higher, and I rode toward whatever came next with my head held high and my eyes open. I had survived, I had fought back, I had won, not because I destroyed them, though I had, but because I'd saved myself, and in the end, that was the only victory that really mattered.